Disclaimer, you may have not forgotten some of these players. Sorry for the inconvenience. We will ship a cookie box directly to your house if you did not forget.
Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan, and today I'm going to be discussing 10 NHL players that you forgot still played in the NHL in 2020. Now, personally, this was a pretty hard video to put together because obviously I can't predict what you remember and don't remember, but these are 10 players that I think have been pretty relevant and outside the public eye for a very long time that have still managed to play a lot of NHL games as soon as this 2020 season. So, which players do I think are the most forgotten in today's NHL, and which players make my top 10? Watch till the end for all my rankings and picks, and of course, hit that subscribe button for more videos, for more videos, just like this one. Now I'm gonna start out with number 1, the first player that you probably forgot about still playing in the NHL, and this is definitely the most high-profile player out of this 10, so I'm just gonna get it out of the way, that being Kyle Okposo of the Buffalo Sabres. Now Kyle Okposo, one of the higher-paid players in the Eastern Conference, and not really living up to that contract whatsoever. This year though, 19 points in 52 games over his career, has played 800 games, getting 506 points, and Kyle Okposo for a very long time has been a very solid player. Back in his Islanders days was one of the better offensive players and just well-rounded players, I would say too. Got that mega contract with the Buffalo Sabres, and then just after that pretty much disappeared. Now it really isn't all his fault because concussions have been seriously bad on his end, and it sucks to see a guy that had so much talent and now is pretty much afterthought for Buffalo. Now getting on to the more irrelevant players in this list, and coming in at my second player that you probably forgot still plays in the NHL, I have Chicago Blackhawks defenseman Brent Seabrook. Now if you forgot that Brent Seabrook played this season, I don't exactly blame you too much. He played 32 games for Chicago, got 3 goals, 1 assist for 4 points. Not good whatsoever. And in his prime, Brent Seabrook, in my opinion, was definitely one of the best defensemen in the NHL, but his defense has regressed heavily, especially recently, and the offense, obviously 4 points in 32 games, is just not worth it anymore. Easily one of the worst contracts in the entire league, and if there's any player on Chicago to retire this offseason or next season, Brent Seabrook is definitely one of the better bets. A guy that, at this point, just has nothing else to go for in the NHL. Now going on to my third NHL player that you probably forgot still plays in the NHL. At number 3, I have LA Kings forward Jeff Carter. Now Jeff Carter, when it comes to LA players, isn't the most forgettable, I would say, but from how good he was to how much of a non-impact guy he is now, the drop-off is pretty steep. Now, to be fair, this season was actually pretty good when he was healthy. Got 27 points in 60 games, which for an LA Kings player is actually pretty great, and especially offensively. But he's 35 years of age at this point, obviously is not even close to his prime. Although in the late 2000s and early 2010s, he was a brilliant player for Philly, and then would end up coming to the LA Kings. Right now, it's obvious that he is just not too much of a factor there. And there's a lot of players that I forget on LA, but when it comes to Jeff Carter especially, again, that's a player that was so good and now is so forgettable right now in the NHL. Now going on to my fourth NHL player that you probably forgot still played in the NHL, I have Red Wings defenseman Trevor Daley. Now Trevor Daley, one of my favorite stars when he was in Dallas, but now the Detroit Red Wings is pretty much just another guy. This season played 43 games and got 7 assists for 7 points. He's 36 years old, signed that pretty humongous deal with the Detroit Red Wings. I have no idea still why they signed him. And even though I love Trevor Daley on Dallas, the only reason I even remember him at this point is just looking at Detroit's defense like every other month, still wondering how bad it really is, and newsflash, it's pretty bad. And Trevor Daley does have a part in that. Now going on to my fifth NHL player that you probably forgot still playing the NHL, and I'm putting the term playing in the NHL very loosely here. I have Andrew Ladd of the New York Islanders. Andrew Ladd played 4 games this year with the Isles, getting 1 goal for 1 point. And again, putting it very loosely that he played in the NHL, but I still will qualify him as an NHL player, even though he pretty much is an AHL player. Now, back in his prime for the Winnipeg Jets, Andrew Ladd was one of the better players in the entire NHL. Got that mega deal with the New York Islanders, and just like the Kyle Okposo story, it is just not come up to fruition. Not as many injuries as Kyle Okposo, more so just Andrew Ladd not being good whatsoever, but a player that the New York Islanders have pretty much themselves posted as irrelevant. Now going on to my sixth player that you probably forgot about that still plays in the NHL, I have Winnipeg Jets defenseman Dmitry Kulikov. Now Dmitry Kulikov is one of the most fascinating players out there in my opinion, because he also is kind of one of the most boring players in the NHL out there. Now I remember back in like 2015, 2016 where he was with the Florida Panthers and they were a great team, and I thought, hey, this Kulikov Russian kid, not all too bad. And then he signed that huge deal and then just became Dmitry Kulikov. I mean, this season, 10 points in 51 games, not too terrible offensively. And again, just like Trevor Daley, really much the only reason I notice him is looking at how bad Winnipeg Jets defense is, and Kulikov is also a part of that. So yeah, not exactly a compliment on his end. Now going on to my seventh player that you probably forgot still play in the NHL, I have Rangers enforcer Michael Haley. Now Michael Haley has been an NHL player at points throughout his career, has played 270 games, nothing to scoff at. This season with Rangers, got 22 games played, 1 goal, 1 point, and got an average of 5 minutes and 32 seconds of ice time. And really the only reason I remember Michael Haley is the constant times that he would just take ice time away from Elias Anderson on the Rangers, and it would always infuriate me because there was all the reasons to be. He was enforcer, got 5 minutes of time on ice, and took away ice from Elias Anderson. I will never forget that, Michael. Never. Now going on to another Winnipeg Jets defenseman. I wonder how that works. Now going on to my eighth player that you probably forgot about, still playing in the NHL, I have Jets defenseman Luca Pisa. Yes, Luca Pisa was a Winnipeg Jets defenseman. There you go. Played 44 games. Winnipeg actually ended up getting 10 points, not being too terrible. He was still pretty but he wasn't terrible, which for that Winnipeg Jets defense is pretty high praise indeed. And Luca Pisa, legend with the Vancouver Canucks, legend with the pretty much just with the Vancouver Canucks. A guy that still is in the NHL, and again, just like some other Winnipeg Jets defensemen, is pretty much all I can say about him. Now going on to the ninth NHL player that you probably forgot still playing in the NHL, I have Tampa Bay Lightning defenseman, which again still sounds weird, that being Luke Schenn. Yes, Luke Schenn is still an NHL player, and he has that going for him. 25 games played with the Tampa Bay Lightning, 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. Now honestly, on Tampa, he wasn't all too bad. Now that's a different story for Zach Bogosian, who basically hurt Braden Point in his first game, but Luke Schenn actually was not terrible. And again, just like a Luca Pisa, not being terrible is a pretty big compliment. Being a 5th overall pick, a bust to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and not being terrible for the Tampa Bay Lightning, hey, pretty successful career. Next up, moving on to my number 10 player that you forgot played in the NHL this season. Now, this is on the side of the more high-profile players on this list, more like the Kyle Okposo side, rather than the Luke Schenn side, but I still think gets forgotten, but for pretty good reason. That being Cory Schneider of the New Jersey Devils. He was able to play 13 NHL games this year with an 87 save percentage. Not all too great. Now, Cory Schneider in his prime was magnificent. Still has a career .918 save percentage in 409 games. Absolute stud. But it's obvious that at age 34, he is not what he used to be due to injuries, whatever it might be, and New Jersey's defense not being all too great. That's just a player that I don't think has too much hope to even, I would say, play in the NHL in the next couple of years. He might play in the NHL next year, but I think that's retirement after that point. It's sad because I think he did deserve a cup at one point, definitely was one of the better goaltenders in his prime, and now is, at the very most, second fiddle to Mackenzie Blackwood. But that'll be it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching, all y'all. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Again, for more videos just like this one, I respond to all the comments in the comments, and especially the first ones that you guys end up giving. Make sure you comment down below your thoughts on this video, what you agree and disagree with, and what players did you forget in this video, what players did you remember, and all that jazz. Make sure you click on this card right here to watch all my rankings videos right in one playlist. Make sure you share this video as well, boys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next video or stream. Goodbye.